welcome to episode 20 of the Simply Great Relationships podcast. We're so glad you could join us today. I'm Meredith Silversmith, and this is Marina, and today we are talking about how to survive Thanksgiving. It's a very timely topic, and we wanted to be sure to get some support out to you guys before the big day. So today we're going to be covering what makes Thanksgiving so emotionally charged, how to prioritize your relationship during the holiday. This is my favorite, how to get along with everyone good enough, right? Good enough is good enough. And cultivating an attitude of gratitude on Thanksgiving. So make sure you stay with us till the very end because we've got a great bonus for you and we're going to tell you how to get it.
So let's jump into it. Let's talk about the kind of scary stuff first.
Yeah.
So what makes Thanksgiving so emotionally charged?
That's a good question. I think, we go back to this a lot, but I think expectations play a role. So expectations that you have for yourself, expectations your partner has, family members have, friends, like whoever you're involved with on that day. I think the expectations that everyone is coming in with can lead to the emotional charge and conflict.
Yeah, for sure. And I think Thanksgiving is kind of extra emotionally charged compared to some other holidays because there's this expectations for families to get together and be really happy and everything to be very smooth. And I think there's this kind of like discrepancy that's created between like how do I want to celebrate Thanksgiving versus how do we actually end up celebrating Thanksgiving and what has been my history and my experiences with Thanksgiving. I think there's so much value to giving your partner that context of like this is what Thanksgivings were like for me as a little kid and as an adolescent and as in my 20s and so that they kind of understand where you're coming from and where your feelings are coming from and vice versa so that you are aware of each other's triggers and expectations.
Yeah, because not everybody has an amazing track record with the holidays, right? So you may not realize, but someone, one partner could have had Thanksgiving's their favorite holiday and it was always the best experience and it was family being together and good food and all of that, where someone else might have had horrible experiences and Thanksgiving may have been a battleground or, fighting about who's going to spend it where and just a really negative history. So I know this is sort of a silly example, but have you seen the Friends episodes with all the Thanksgivings?
I have, yes.
I feel like that really depicts, obviously it's humorous, but they show, each person's experiences in Thanksgivings, and, Chandler has always had a horrific experience, so he's, that one guy who's I don't want to celebrate, I don't want to eat the food, I don't want anything to do with it, but that's reality. We all have our history, and it really is significant.
Yeah, and I think managing some of that and being supportive to your partner can really de-escalate, but I think, again, if we're looking at what makes it emotionally charged, the fact that you can have a really loaded history with it.
Yeah.
The other thing is there's a lot of pressure around Thanksgiving, a lot of pressure to come, spend the day. If you have kids, bring the kids, and for your kids to be a certain way, and for everybody to behave and get along in a certain way, and for everything to be, I feel like Thanksgiving is very curated, and there's huge societal pressure for it to flow a certain way, and that of course trickles down to us as individuals, couples, our kids, our families, and it's just a lot of stuff to manage.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of commercials about Thanksgiving, a lot of visual depictions of the turkey and the family and the whole thing.
Subliminal messaging.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of couples this comes up for when your families don't live near each other or they just don't combine on holidays, having to split the time, either split the time and spend half the day here and half the day there, or to go, share holidays, alternate holidays. So 1 year we're going to my family, 1 year we're going to your family. So that would mean every other year someone's making a sacrifice, right? And choosing to go with their in-laws. So that's a contributor as well.
Yeah, huge contributor. And then like we talked about in our last episode,
Mm-hmm.
the fight-proofing your next big event. If
Mm-hmm.
you're hosting, like, that's a lot of people, a lot
Yeah.
of food, a lot of feelings, a lot of opinions to manage.
Yeah.
And, you know, we had a whole episode about
Yeah.
how that can impact individuals, couples,
Mm-hmm.
how to strategize. So make sure to listen to that episode. I think these two episodes, like, really go hand in hand
Mm-hmm.
quite well, because Thanksgiving is a big event, even if you're not hosting, and that episode has a lot of great tips on managing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, what are your suggestions, Marina? What do you think for prioritizing your relationship during the holiday?
I think support.
Yeah.
You have to have some conversations beforehand. You need to go in strategic, like,
Mm-hmm.
what do I need to feel supported? What do you need to feel supported? What are our triggers? What are, what do we need to do if our triggers are really on high alert? Like, go in strategic, knowing the answers to all these questions. Like, have your signal. Have your, especially if you're not hosting, you have a lot more flexibility in, do you need to tap out for 15 minutes and say, like, oh, I'm so full, we're going to take a walk around the block?
Yeah.
Because you need to support each other. Like, have all those things ready ahead of time.
Yeah. Definitely, and checking in throughout the day, making the plan ahead, but making sure you're touching base throughout the event so that you know you're still on the same page. My favorite word, boundaries.
The B word.
Boundaries for Thanksgiving. So this can come in a lot of different ways. What time are we getting there? What time are we leaving, right? There may be external expectations coming at you where, well, we want you there at this time and you have to stay till the end, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to. This is something to discuss with each other and come up with a game plan. I think a big thing that comes up on Thanksgiving is sitting around the table and talking about certain topics. Having a plan. Where is your boundary? Or what topics are you going to dismiss? What topics are you going to dodge? What topics are you going to engage in? What's the plan? Where are your lines? Because you have to know where your lines are in order to enforce them.
Yeah, I think boundaries are super, super important.
Mm-hmm.
I think this flows in nicely because boundaries, like, those are kind of the couple's boundaries, but there also need to be boundaries in terms of interacting with other people, because usually Thanksgivings bring a lot of people together, and some people that you may have not seen for a while, and some people that you may have a lot of unresolved stuff with, right? So how do we get along with everyone at the Thanksgiving table? Good enough. Not perfect, not great, not how to turn best friends with Aunt Susan, who you've had a contemptuous relationship with for the past 20 years. But how to get along good? How do we get along good enough?
That's a good question. Well, I think the first piece to take in is that Thanksgiving is not the time or place to resolve family drama.
100%. Could not agree more.
Like, it's not. So once you take that option off the table, it makes it a little bit easier. It's not the time or place to talk about what happened in the past, to try to resolve what happened in the past, to be nasty about what happened in the past. Like, not the time or place, so just remove that from the expectations.
Yeah, I think, like, having that as a frame of mind as opposed to, like, going and being like, this is going to be the year when we all fix it and get along. Which, I think sounds silly, but I think it resonates with people.
No, I think
right?
it does, and I'm laughing because this is going to be the year. Like, I know, you go into it and you're like, that's it. This is the year. This is the day that it's going to happen. That's just funny.
Take the expectation off. It's not going to be the day.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean the day is not going to come, but
right.
Thanksgiving is just may not be the appropriate day. And I think going with that, it's like choose, like almost kind of like have talking points
yeah.
and boundaries in terms of like if an emotionally charged conversation comes up, like, how are you going to disengage in a cordial and respectful way?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of topics are okay topics? How do you change topics and have, like, some talking points about them in your pocket, essentially? Yeah. You know, just being very strategic about that. So if Aunt Susan, who you've had a conflictual relationship with forever, brings up, well, you know, 5 years ago, blah, blah, go, oh, yeah, I remember that. But you know what I'd love to hear about? I saw you posted these great vacation photos on Facebook. Yeah. Tell me all about your trip to Hawaii.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion.
Just redirecting.
Yeah, redirect it, because unfortunately, you can't control what Aunt Susan does.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't. You can control your 50%, but you can't control the other person's 50%. So having a plan for if they cross that line, how you're going to handle it is really key. You know, I think something that's I've been noticing more and more, I don't know if you've been noticing this in families and around the table, is just talk of politics.
Oh, yeah.
I think especially here in the U.S., that's become a more emotionally charged topic lately as, you know, we're filming this. So go in with a mindset, especially if you have a family where you know it's going to come up. Do I really want to engage in this conversation? Because often you can predict how it's going to play out. I know I can with my friends and family. I don't know if you feel the same. Like, you kind of know who's going to say what and, you know, what's going to happen. So do I want to engage? Because just because the topic comes up doesn't mean that you have to. Yeah. So choosing, do I want to engage, and considering, how will I feel if I have to listen to what they have to say, right? My opponent in that situation. And how will I feel if they don't listen to me? Mm-hmm. And if you can say, I'll feel okay and I'll be able to let it go and I'll move on with my day really easily, then maybe it's okay to engage. But if you're like, nope, I'm going to be mad for the rest of the day and I'm not going to be able to get past it, then it might be better not to.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think there's just so much room for tension and conflict, and I don't think turkey and politics go well together. You know, because it is so emotionally charged. So I think having that disengagement in a very cordial and respectful way, having some redirections and, you know, having just some alternative topics that are much less charged and maybe fun to talk about. I think a really great idea is, I love table topics, you know, the ones, you can get them on Amazon, like a little box with cards, and all the cards have, like, really fun questions on them. Like, whipping that out, can just be such a lifesaver, and say, like, hey, I got this is a really fun thing, and it really can diffuse the situation.
That's a great suggestion. We'll put them in the show notes in case you don't know what they are. So being lovingly curious of your partner and of other people, right? It's a really easy way to redirect the conversation. I think you gave a really great example. Oh, you know what? Yeah, you know, I'd rather talk about your vacation. How was your vacation? What was that like for you? How are the kids? Like, redirecting it to some curiosity questions to move the conversation along.
And I think this is one that may not sound very, like, PC to a lot of people, but I think it's a great strategy. I know when I'm in situations where, you know, I don't have equal relationships across the playing fields with people, this is something that really helps me. But, like, maximizing your interactions with the people you want to interact with, as opposed to feeling like you have to divide your attention across the board equally, when you know there are some people you may not want to or have the best interactions with, is a really good strategy that I find has worked for me. Like, you just need to be good enough, like, cordial and respectful. You don't need to have a lengthy conversation with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, thinking about where you're sitting, right? And I totally do this also. Where you're sitting, if it's about sitting far from certain people or close to other people, like, be mindful of that, because that can make a big difference. you could always remove yourself and go help in the kitchen. Like, there's certain socially appropriate ways to disengage. So helping in the kitchen, doing dishes, or getting involved with, like, if little kids are there, getting involved with them. Like, those are really subtle ways to disengage from maybe some bigger issues that are going on.
This one is more of like a mindset, and I find this is just like a beneficial mindset in life, but I think going into a situation like this, it can be really helpful. But I know a lot of times I will see couples and, you know, we'll talk about their Thanksgiving survival plan, and there can be a lot of, like, you know, issues in the family, and they put contingencies on it. So I'll only talk to his sister if she talks to me first.
Yeah.
I'll only be nice to his mom if she's nice to me first. I'll only engage with this person if they do something first, right? So, like, those contingencies, they're like, I'll only if really sabotage us. They sabotage us in everyday life, but in going into situations like this, they extra sabotage you, because you're saying, like, I'm gonna be nasty. I'm not gonna be my best self unless this person is their best self. So you're not giving benefit of the doubt. You're not being lovingly curious. You're not being, like, open to the experience. You're placing this contingency that's kind of setting you up for failure. Yeah. So going in with this mindset of, I'm going to remove those contingencies. I'm just going to focus on doing me, and me is good enough, cordial, and respectful.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it is, I would almost guarantee that if you go in with that mindset, it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
It's going to go down the path that you're trying to avoid in the first place. So don't recommend it. So this is another favorite, right? Cultivating an attitude of gratitude on Thanksgiving. Because that's the point, right? That's really the main point of why we have this holiday, being thankful. So we wanted to give you some tips for being more aware of feeling gratitude and how to really, like, get in touch with that feeling. So, you know, maybe you could talk a little bit about how gratitude is a mindset.
Yeah, so just like contingencies are a mindset, gratitude is a mindset also. You can go in with an attitude of, I'll only if the other person, or you can go in with an attitude of, I'm really thankful to be here. I'm really thankful that I have somewhere to celebrate Thanksgiving. I'm really thankful that I have this big family. I'm really thankful that I get to experience an experience that is gonna challenge me in some sort of way. Yeah. You know, like, you can always reframe negativity to learning. Like, I think there's actually very little true negativity in life. I think there are a lot of really amazing learning opportunities and resilience building opportunities. And I think, like, for me, a part of the essence of growth is, like, getting to be strategic and testing out your strategies. And, like, when a part of your strategy is, I'm going to be open, I'm going to be curious, I'm going to redirect and I'm going to change the narratives and expectations of these relationships that haven't been going well for me. And I'm going to look at what I'm grateful for. Like, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that can be challenging. So one way to make it a little bit easier is by doing a mindfulness or meditation app. We really like Meditation Studio, but you can pick specifically, like, meditations on gratitude. And it guides you through 5-10 minutes of breathing and, you know, thought process and feeling process, and getting, again, in that mindset. Being able to sort of move in that direction, I think, is really helpful. Also, the 5-minute journal. I love the 5-minute journal.
Big fan.
Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes also. But
I'm on my third one. I just like to say.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I'm on my first one. Because I'll start and I'll stop, and then I'll start and then I'll stop. But I've been really consistent lately, so it's good. But the 5-minute journal is this really great journal. It is literally a 5-minute journal. You fill out, every morning and every night, things that went well, things you're grateful for, things that are going to set you up for a good day. But it creates, research-based, creates an attitude of gratitude, helps your mind shift more towards what's going right and what I'm thankful for rather than all the problems that we could easily pick out.
So I think 5-minute journal is a really, really good thing to start preemptively before Thanksgiving, and I think that really helps you get into that mindset of, and it makes you, like, what I love about it is it makes you scan for positive learning, growth, gratitude type experiences, because I think it's really easy to shift into, like, I'm going to look for the negatives, I'm going to look for all the times I'm wronged, I'm going to look for all the times I feel injustice. A 5-minute journal really, like, you have to write down things you're grateful for.
Right.
So it makes you scan for those things, and I think that's a big shift.
Definitely. And you can channel that even into your relationship and to focusing on your partner by writing, creating your own journal and just writing down 3 positive things about your partner or your relationship every day. I love that. I recommend that to a lot of couples because, again, it's shifting your focus from what's going wrong to what's going right. And over time, that becomes more the norm for you. It's very powerful.
And, I want to throw out a challenge to all the people out there that are going into Thanksgivings where, they know they're going to interact with a person they've butted heads with. For 5 days pre-Thanksgiving, I want you to write down every day 3 positive things about that person.
That's tough.
It can be really tough. But I think the thought process going into Thanksgiving, if you're going to be facing a family member or somebody that you have a strained relationship with, you tend to ruminate and think of all the bad things they've done, and like that, you're priming yourself to look at them in a really bad way. I'm not saying exonerate them of their crimes and sins. All I'm saying is look for small positive things about them. Like, start trivial. If you have a really hard time, you can start trivial, but those things are generally pretty easy to find about your partner if you have a pretty decent relationship. But, like, to challenge yourself to look for positives about a person or a relationship dynamic that's harder can really be a big mental shift.
That's a great suggestion.
So that's my challenge for you guys.
Whew, that's a good one. I think as, one last piece to boost your relationship around this time, or you could certainly do it any time of year, but if you're doing the journal about the positive things that are going on in your relationship, share it with your partner in a meaningful way, right? So meaningful way meaning be specific. And you can be specific by using process-based compliments, which we know are one of Marina's favorite. Do you want to give an example of that?
Yes, a process-based compliment, we've talked about this many times, is not saying, you look very nice today. It's giving a compliment on a process you observe your partner or anybody doing. So it's something like, when you made me breakfast this morning, it made me feel super appreciated and loved and considered, and it just, made me appreciate our relationship so much that I'm with such a considerate partner.
So it's specific, it explains what exactly hit you in what way, how it made you feel, and that's really powerful to share with your partner. And if you want to take it to the even higher level, make it a habit and a ritual of connection where you guys are doing this together and you're doing it daily or with some level of consistency. It's a really nice way to end your day, I think. I know I've had some couples who had really great experiences with that. So that's like the level up challenge to do it every day. So look, we shared a lot with you today. I think you're ready for Thanksgiving. We don't want you to just listen to this. We want you to actually apply it. So we are sharing with you our Thanksgiving survival worksheet. So we've compiled a lot of what we talked about today into this worksheet that you can sit down with your partner a week or so in advance, go through, make a plan, be on the same page, and go in to set yourselves up for success. You can get that at simplygreatrelationships.com/020.
Let's talk about takeaways.
Takeaways. I really like what you just suggested about if there's someone that you've had negativity with, instead of sort of like gearing up for that interaction in a negative way and thinking about all the things that went wrong and all the things that are going to go wrong, instead to shift that to focusing on the things that went right at some point, no matter how small. I think that's definitely my takeaway. That's a big one.
My takeaway is, when you brought up that Friends episode, like, everyone's experience is so different. You can't say, like, because this is my experience, everybody's experience is like this.
Right.
And to learn what your experience is, to teach your partner what your experience is, to learn what their experience is, like, really puts them and puts you in context and allows you to support each other in a much better, much deeper way.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's all for today. We hope you take our tips and start using them in time for Thanksgiving. We'd love to continue the conversation with you in our private Facebook group. So definitely pop in there and join us. We're going to be sharing additional tips, tricks, live streams for our members. You can join us at facebook.com/groups/simplygreatrelationships, or you can go to our website, simplygreatrelationships.com, and click the link. Join us, talk about your Thanksgiving stories, let us know how you set yourselves up for success, and read about how other couples and partners did it as well. And have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Hope you have a peaceful one with very little conflict.
And a lot of gratitude.
Lots of gratitude. So until next week. Bye.
Bye.